is Caitlin. I'm going to be the physician assistant student today. We are going to be doing your abdomen and musculoskeletal exam. If you could please remove your shirt, shoes, and socks and empty your bladder while I wash my hands. Okay, and then if you could just lay down for me and go ahead and bend your knees, perfect, and pull your shorts to your hip bones for proper exposure. I am then going to inspect the abdomen, the contour of it for scars, striae, masses, distension, pulsations, and the condition of the umbilicus. And then I will auscultate. Are you in any pain today? I will then auscultate for bowel sounds. If I don't hear any bowel sounds, I would then listen for 1 full minute in each of the 4 quadrants. The bowel sounds are normal active. I will then move on to percussing. I am percussing for tympany or dullness. And then I'm going to percuss at the last intercostal space at the anterior axillary line. If you could breathe in and out. I'm percussing for splenic enlargement. I'll then move on to palpation. I'm going to start with a light palpation, looking for signs of distress on the patient and for any superficial masses, going about 1 centimeter. I'm then going to move on to deep palpations, again looking for any signs of distress in the patient and for deep masses. I'm then going to just put my hand underneath you like this, and I'll have you take a breath in and out. I am palpating the liver for enlargement, masses, or tenderness. I'm going to do the same for the spleen. If you could breathe in. Again, for masses or tenderness. I am then going to have you sit up. If the patient was in pain, I would have palpated that area last after they pointed to it. And then for CVA tenderness, I'm gonna put my hand like this. And then I would perform a rectal exam at this time as well. We'll move on to your musculoskeletal exam. If you could just lay down, or no, you can sit just like that. I am going to inspect and palpate for symmetry, signs of inflammation, edema, effusions, deformities, malalignment of bone, tenderness, muscular atrophy, abnormal movements, the condition of surrounding tissues, crepitus, and ease of range of motion. And you can go ahead and stand up. I'm going to inspect anteriorly and posteriorly the lineup of the shoulders and pelvis. I am going to, from the posterior portion, from the lateral portion, the kyphotic and lordotic curvature of the spine. And then from the posterior side, I'll inspect the spinous processes, the trapezius, the scapula, the SI joints, and the sacrum. I'm then going to palpate, and the paravertebral muscles. I'm then going to palpate the spinous processes, the paravertebral muscles, the sacrum, and the SI joints. I am then going to go laterally. I'm going to inspect the range of motion of the cervical spine. If you could bring your chin to your chest, and then go ahead, and that's flexion, and then go ahead and look up at the sky. That's cervical extension. And you can look straight ahead. You can go ahead and back up a little bit for me. And then I'll have you look to your right, look to your left, and that's rotation, and we'll have you bring your ear to your shoulder for lateral bending, ear to other shoulder, lateral bending, and I will then move behind you and off to the side. I'll have you bend your toes. Touch your toes. Bending your toes is later, and you can stand back up. That's flexion, and then go backwards. That's extension, and then go ahead and turn to your right for rotation, and then turn to your left for rotation, and along the side of your body, try to touch the side of your feet. And then up, and then to the other one. That's lateral bending on both sides. And we will now do inspection of your upper extremities. So I am inspecting bilaterally the clavicles, the AC joints, the scapulas, the head of the humerus, the arms, the biceps, triceps, antecubital fossa, medial and lateral epicondyles, the olecranon processes, the proximal head of the radius, the forearms, the ulnar and radial styloids, the carpal bones, the metacarpal bones, the MCP joints. Give me a thumbs up. The anatomical snuff boxes. And now that I have inspected, I'm going to palpate those areas. So I'll start with this side of the body. And then I'm going to palpate the bicipital groove and tendon, the arm, and then give me a thumbs up, okay. And then I'm going to do shoulder range of motion. If you could bring your arms up like this for shoulder flexion, and then bring your arms back like you're skiing for shoulder extension. And then we'll go into out to the side and up for abduction, down like this, out in front of you for adduction. Hands like this, and then arms up, shoulder external rotation back to neutral, down, shoulder internal rotation, arms out like this, circles, shoulder circumduction, and then put your arms like this, and we'll do elbow flexion, elbow extension, pronation, supination, and then ulnar deviation, radial deviation, back to neutral. We'll do wrist flexion, wrist extension, and then I'll have you bring your thumbs in and fingers to make a fist around. That's thumb and finger flexion, and then we'll bring your fingers out for finger extension. Keep your fingers together, and we'll go fingers out for finger abduction, fingers back in, finger adduction, and then we will do thumbs out, thumb extension, thumbs in line with your fingers for thumb adduction, and then thumb like this for thumb abduction, and then touch each of your fingers for thumb opposition. And then we'll have you lie on the table. I'm going to inspect the hip, the ASIS bilaterally, the greater trochanter bilaterally, the thighs, the patellas, the patella tendons, the tibial tuberosities, the Achilles tendon, the tarsals, metatarsals, toes, the medial and lateral malleoli, and then the medial and lateral femoral condyle. And then palpate all those areas. And then I'm going to, I would palpate the other leg as well. And then we'll move on to range of motion. So I'm going to be doing this for you. You can just go ahead and relax. We will do hip flexion, knee flexion and total hip flexion, external rotation of the hip, internal rotation of the hip, knee extension, stabilize ya, hip adduction, hip abduction, back to neutral, and then you can flip on your left side, and then we'll do hip extension, back, and then you can go ahead and lay back down, and then I will move to your ankle. We're gonna do, well, if you could go ahead and put your foot like this for plantar flexion, and then back to normal for dorsiflexion, and then I'll move to your ankle for inversion, exversion, eversion, and then I'm going to hold your toes and curl your toes, and then put them for flexion, put them back for toe extension, and then I will have you bend your leg up. Perfect. I'm going to measure the circumference of your calves, and we'll go at the largest part of the calf, and I will report it at 37. Let me do that again because I got to mark where I was. Okay, and then I'll measure that in centimeters. We're at like, from the tibial tuberosity, so like 9, and then I would measure on the other side and report. And then if you could put your foot as close to your body as you could, and we'll measure the range of motion right here, and then down to your ankle, and over here. And we are at 130. All right, and you're done.